Should you be pre-washing your films before development? Some say you should, some say that you shouldn't. But there is one film many say that you should put in a washing machine before you develop, and that is Fomapan 120 films. Apparently the Anti Halation Dye on those films can wreak havoc with the film's emulsion if you don't get rid of it first. So let's find out. I'm going to shoot some Fomapan 100, pre-wash half of it and compare the results. And in this video I'll go out at sunrise for some landscape photography with just one roll of Fomapan 100. Did I get good clean negatives to print with, or did I end up just having a nice walk at silly o'clock for no reason? So about a year ago I bought some Fomapan 200 in 120 format and it was really bad. I told the company who I'd bought it from and they offered a replacement. I said, don't send that back. I said, send me some Fomapan 100 back instead. And that's what they sent me back. Look at the state of that box. Anyway, that doesn't matter. What matters is whether this Fomapan inside here is going to give me any problems. Can I trust Fomapan? So it's been in the fridge all that time. It expires next year, so I thought I may as well shoot it and see what I can get from it. Hopefully it will work, but if it doesn't, it will certainly, you know, put the hammer down saying don't ever try Fomapan again or trust it. And this is the camera that I'm going to take out with me, the Pentax 6.7. It's a wonderful camera to shoot. So I was planning to get out for some landscape photography with the Fomapan early morning with the sun breaking through the cloud, but in good old British summer fashion, well, it's been pants weather. So I had to plan it days ahead, and looking at the forecasts, Sunday looked like the best day, which is 3 days time at silly o'clock in the morning. I checked the sun position using SunCalc, and if you've never used this app before, this app or website is brilliant for landscape photography. I literally pinpoint my location and I can see where the sun will be at any particular time. I've used this app for years and I want the sun to be in front of me breaking through good cloud. And finally, I checked the tide times just in case I go to the beach. And today is a bit of a show as well because I've planned to come out this morning. It's 5:30 in the morning on a Sunday. There's nothing going on. Ah, it looks quite nice through the GoPro there, look. But not for photography. But like all photography, if you keep walking you might find something. That's what I always say. And so there I was, early Sunday morning, just me and the nature at just after sunrise. I was expecting some good cloud, but it wasn't to be. I just have to remember that I don't even know if this Fomapan is going to give me emulsion issues, just like I've experienced in the past. So I decided to come off plan, enjoy the walk, take photographs and drive to a few different locations on the way home. So I've decided to walk along and get some landscape shots. I don't think the clouds are going to be as nice as I thought they were. They're certainly not as nice as they were the other day, but I thought, well, you know, I'm not going to waste the time, so I'm going to get some nice landscape shots in. And the thing with this Fomapan 100, I have shot this many times over the years, mostly 35mm, because I've just been bitten a few times with the 120 with some emulsion imperfections, and you know, you can only try certain films for a certain amount of time. If it keeps giving you trouble, you just think, I'm going to steer clear of it. But as you know, it was sent to me on a refund, if you like, or a swap over. I thought I may as well shoot it and just see if I can put my trust back in Fomapan. And I think one thing I've never really tried with the Fomapan is getting rid of all that Anti Halation Dye. And this is how I understand how the Anti Halation layer works. This is the film's emulsion, this is the backing paper, and tucked right in between them is the Anti Halation layer. Light comes into the camera, it strikes the film emulsion, and the brightest areas of your scene manage to punch their way all the way through towards the backing paper of the film. But before the light can bounce off the backing paper and travel back towards the film, it hits the Anti Halation layer. It's like a defense shield soaking up all that light before it can reflect everywhere. Remove that Anti Halation defense layer and the light reflects off the backing paper, making its way right back to the film's emulsion, causing halos in bright areas of your scene, ghosting and other unwanted phenomena. And it works the same with 35mm cameras and the pressure plate at the back. And maybe it's Fomapan's Anti Halation Dye that causes those bloomy highlights in some pictures. I'll just stop the video there, guys. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that supports the work that I do on the channel. Most weeks I'm pumping out videos about film photography, just my experiences along the way. So I want to say a massive thank you to the guys that support me on Patreon and that support me on the YouTube members area as well, and the Buy Me Coffee area. It all helps me continue making videos to put out on the channel, and everyone else that supports the channel in other ways, subscribing, commenting and liking. I really do appreciate your interaction, so thanks very much. Let's crack on with the video. So with this film inside the camera today, when I get back, I'm going to give it a really good pre-wash, real good pre-soak, get rid of all that Anti Halation Dye, and then develop the film and see what happens. You know, if I get no emulsion problems, it might put my trust back in Fomapan 100 again, because it is a good film. It gives lovely contrast. It really does give good images. The highlights sometimes I've noticed could be a little bit bloomy, a little bit bright. And there's thousands of people out there that love Fomapan. You know, it is a good budget film, especially with the prices today. It's a relatively inexpensive film. It used to be a lot cheaper. But and they love the Fomapan, you know, they love the results they get. It's just my experience in the past hasn't been that great. Now, one thing that I've read about Fomapan is that the Anti Halation Dye on the film isn't the best, and the emulsion problems, such as little flecks and other weird stuff, could be down to good old-fashioned pre-wash. And to be honest, I don't often pre-wash my films. I never have to, but maybe I should with the Fomapan. So I've decided to cut the film in half, sacrifice one of the frames in the middle, whether it's going to be cut off or not, develop both films in the same tank, and then with one of the halves give a really good pre-wash to remove the Anti Halation Dye. Now that makes total sense, and I can see for myself if this pre-wash theory is just hearsay or is actually a thing. And I very rarely pre-wash my films. I have no reason to. The Anti Halation Dye that comes off the film might make my stock developer or my fixer go a bit colourful, but it's not going to harm the chemistry or affect my photographs. In fact, even Ilford don't recommend pre-soaking films, and this is from their FP4 data sheet. But Fomapan, that stuff is on another level. Does this film need a pre-soak? Let's find out. So there's the Fomapan that I shot. Now I'm going to go in the darkroom and I'm going to cut this film in half, and I'm going to put half in this tank and half in this tank. So I've got one half of the film inside this tank, which I'm now going to give a good pre-wash, and the other half of the film is in another tank in the darkroom, which is after I've done this pre-wash. I'm going to put this film inside that tank and then develop them both together. So let's give this a good pre-wash, and I'll speed this up, guys. It's only a very thin film as well, this Fomapan. Let's put that into this jug. You should see the colour of it. There you go. So it's like this greeny colour. And we'll keep doing this until it becomes clear. And that's clear. So that film's Anti Halation Dye has all been stripped off. Let's go and get this film into the other tank and develop them both together. So I'm back in the dark room, and I've just transferred both films into this tank now. So the pre-wash one is at the bottom and the dry one is at the top. So let's get developing this film. So I'm going to develop this in my replenished Burr Speed developer at stock. I'm going to go for 7 minutes on the rotary processor, and off we go for 7 minutes. So these are the photographs that I took and developed without the Anti Halation Dye on the film. I pre-soaked this part of the film, this half of the film, and the photographs, you can see they've come out quite nice. I'm not sure how they're coming across with you guys on the screen, but from what I can see here at a normal size, they look okay. I've not gone in the dark room yet. You can see they look all right, but Let's get a little bit closer in with the lifeboat house, because this is where I started to see the problems. And let's go in a little bit closer, and Fomapan is now starting to show the exact same problems that I've had in the past, and I know that other people have had as well. See those little tiny white dots? I don't get that on any other film. Not as well. I know I don't. So, you know, there they are. They're all over it. If I wanted to print this in the darkroom and go quite big, they would stick out like a sore thumb. I'm not sure if the theory of you need to wash the Anti Halation Dye off a Fomapan film, it's got to be an emulsion problem, you know, and it's there. It's in black and white, literally. I can see it all there. So I'll give them a quick wipe, and I'll take you closer into the negatives so you can see exactly what I'm seeing through the loop on the light box there. You can clearly see these little tiny black little flecks that are sort of embedded into the emulsion there. It's proper strange. It's quite hard actually trying to show you guys through the loop, but yeah, it's quite strange. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have got this in a million years. Look where I cut it in half. I literally didn't cut through any of the negative, well, just a little bit at the edge. And I also noticed the backing paper showing through on the side of the negatives that I didn't pre-wash, which I've not actually seen that before on Fomapan films, apart from expired film. And that's what they sent me back. Look at the state of that box. So maybe this particular film hasn't been stored very well by the company that supplied it to me. Like I said, it did come all ripped up, which I thought was a bit strange. And it's nothing to do with the developer or the process or the drying. You can see this photograph that I took a couple of weeks ago. I think this was on my last vlog, but if we go closer in on this Pontiac car, you can see this was Ilford Delta 100. There's no little white dots, there's no emulsion problems, and in fact this film was expired. I think this was 2004 film, but there's no issues at all with this photograph. And the same with this photograph as well, taken on the same day, developed in the same developer, with this guy standing next to his truck. Again, there's no problems whatsoever. It's only when I shoot Fomapan film do I see these little white dots, exactly what I saw with the Fomapan 200, which was the reason I got the 100 as a replacement for the 200. And again, if I go closer on this one, you can see in the cliffs in the background, we've got, again, the little tiny white dots coming up. And I've cleaned these negatives, it's not on the neg. This is all to do with the emulsion of the film. Got some strange flecks going on here with this one. I'm going to bypass that because I don't quite know what that is. This one was quite clean. This is the barbed wire I took a photograph of over the cliffs. This one's come out nice, quite clean. So there was totally no point in me going in the darkroom making any prints. They're just going to come out exactly what I showed you on the video. If you want to see those photographs more close up, I'll put some detailed photographs up on the website, on the SFLAB website. Put a link in the description and a blog post about my experiences this time around with the Fomapan, including the photographs, so you can have a little look yourselves. And now this is the film that I didn't pre-wash. Got quite a bright picture here, but if we go onto the plane, you can see, look at all the dots, all the little tiny spots from the emulsion of this film. Even in the darker areas, you can see it's totally obliterated the whole photograph. Another one here on the plane. It's a little bit more disguised, but it's still there. Can't see it so much on this one. And I've got some strange, I think these are clouds going on up here. I think this is crisscrossing. I don't know what this is actually. Something strange there. But I'm not interested in any of that. It's just all this stuff in the sky. All these dots. Little tiny white spots, and it just ruins the photograph. As I say, if I went in the darkroom, made big prints, you know, 10 by 8 upwards maybe, you'd still see it. Apart from busy photographs like this, a little bit overexposed this one, but I don't care. You don't really see it here because it's kind of camouflage with busy scenes. But as soon as you start getting into skies and whatnot, and whites, look, it's just, yeah, it's just all over the place. So I've had another bad experience with Fomapan, and that white rash on the negatives didn't clear at all, even with a pre-wash. But I'm not disappointed. To be honest with you, I would have been more disappointed if the conditions up on the downs were perfect. You know, the beautiful clouds and the sun sort of breaking through would have been ideal. I would have been more disappointed if I'd got those perfect moments and come back with that white rash on the film. So I'm not actually that disappointed. And I'm not actually that surprised either. I kind of thought that I might get emulsion problems with Fomapan because I've never had any luck with the Fomapan 120. But I suppose you could say it gave me an excuse to get up really early and go for a nice sunrise walk. And as far as Fomapan's concerned, I've never had any problem with the 35mm Fomapan films. I often like shooting the 200 and pushing that actually, and I often get really good results from it. It's just the 120 films that I've mostly had problems with in the past, and the backing paper coming through on the negative, that's kind of reminded me of expired film where you know it's been stored in humid conditions for years, or badly stored for years, and the backing paper is stuck to the emulsion. There was no reason for that really to have happened on a film like on an in-date film. But it's possible that the people there might have shoved an old one inside the box and just sent it off to me. I don't know. It's strange that a seller would do that. But maybe it wasn't expired. Maybe it was 10 years old, the one that I'd got, and it'd been sitting under a cupboard somewhere in their offices. I don't know. But it doesn't excuse the white rash that I got on the film emulsion. I've seen that before time and time again with Fomapan 120. So, you know, that's me saying no way. No more. So let us know in the comments if any of you shoot Fomapan 120 on a regular basis, whether it's the 100, the 200 or the 400 action. Let us know in the comments if you shoot this on a regular basis. Have you had any problems with the emulsions with Fomapan 120? And if so, and you're still shooting Fomapan 120, why? That's probably an interesting question. But for me personally, I don't think I'm going to be going out getting any Fomapan 120 anytime soon. Certainly not from this company. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you next time.